What's going on, guys? This is Lance Corey and we are back for another bike check. Today we have the awesome Taylor, aka T-Bovo. Let's get into this and learn about her motorcycle riding and the bike behind us. I met you a couple years ago, and I think you pulled up on this Dyna, and at the time you were like, hey, I need bars and risers. You came to our like old shop. Ever since then, you've kind of come by, you've outfitted your bike with a couple more things, pegs, and how long have you owned this bike, and you know, what have you done with this thing?
Yeah, I've had this bike for 2 to 3 years, and I put 50,000 miles on it.
3 years, 50,000 miles. That means you ride it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to my understanding, you don't have a car, only have this bike?
Yeah, I haven't had a car in 6 years.
You haven't had a car in 6 years.
Yeah.
What did you have before this bike?
Sportster.
A Sportster.
Yeah.
And did you grow up riding at all? Any bikes before that?
Yeah, my first bike was a TTR 125, and I lived in Oregon, so it was really easy just to take off and hit the mountains all the time.
Rad.
From the property. School bus would pick us up on like that stretch, and I would just park my TTR down there and I would just take off. I did get in trouble pretty often for it, but whatever. They would call my mom and just be like, Taylor didn't show up. Get in trouble.
So you'd play hooky, go ride your TTR 125. Was this like middle school, high school?
Yeah, it was middle school. I was in 6th grade.
So before you were a teenager, you were riding dirt bikes around Oregon. As time went on and you were older and you could ride on the streets with a license and stuff, you bought a Sportster?
Yeah, honestly, I took a large gap in between riding because I moved down to California, and where I was living, you couldn't ride dirt bikes. A few years later, got my Sportster and haven't really looked back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you're a rad chick. I know that you rode to Sturgis all by yourself this last year. I remember you coming by the shop telling me, I'm gonna ride to Sturgis this year. I don't know who I'm going with. I don't know what route I'm taking. And then 2 weeks later, I see you in Sturgis.
Yeah, so I did ride with Brandy for a portion of it until like we got to Colorado. We broke off. She was going to Mitchell. She rides like nobody's business. I just decided the week before Sturgis to kind of figure it out and go. I didn't know if I was riding or if somebody was going to help me haul it or if I was going to go with somebody else. Like I just went for it and it just worked.
Props to you on that. So let's get into your bike a little bit. You said you put 50,000 miles in the last like 3 years on this thing. You have it set up with a couple of our parts. Did you do this paint job or did it come with this?
It came with it, but Buckwild did it.
Okay, so you got a Buckwild paint job on it. It looks like you have a 110 in the thing. So tell us a little bit about the engine. I know before we turn the cameras on, you were saying the lifters are clacking. A couple buddies of ours from the Valley, 101 Speed Co. has been trying to help you maintain this thing a little bit, seeing its last days. But
we did change the lifters. Thomas was great. He had a lot of information and it was a really good experience.
So who put the 110 in it? Did the previous owner?
It came with it.
So it came with it.
Yeah.
So you went from a Sportster to a 110 cubic inch Dyna, which you've beaten down.
Oh yeah.
All right, so tell us a little bit about why you chose 9.5 pullback mid-bend bars, you know, how they fit for you.
Honestly, the bar setup is great because anything that goes above is, I don't know, they fall asleep.
Yep.
And then I get back pain if it's anywhere like hunched forward. So it's nice because I can just like chill and just ride and not have any pain or issues like down the road.
I see you have a 2-up seat. Does anyone ever ride on the back of this thing?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah.
All right, so you're taking passengers sometimes. You know, a set of our Thrash and Militant pegs. What made you choose that setup?
Just comfortability really, and style. I like both, so it's just, I don't know, it's easy.
Looks like you have a full Thrash and handlebar bag. It's almost like a women's purse. You don't want to like go through it. I don't know what's in there. It's like my mom's purse. She'd like pull out everything you need. Band-aids, first aid kit. What do we have in here? Do you have a lot of knickknacks or it's totally full?
Yeah, I have bungees for, you know, traveling. I even have my tuner in here right now. I don't know why.
A tuner for the engine.
Yeah, my garage clicker, part of my GoPro, pretty much it. Oh yeah, and I'm a girl. Tampons, yeah.
Oh, see, I knew there was things I should know about in there. Handlebar bag stuffed to the brim. It looks like you have a little, is this a thermometer?
Yeah.
A little thermometer hanging off of her perch clamp. She's got a quad lock for her iPhone. Do you use that often?
All the time.
When we come over here, you have a ginormous F-off derby cover.
Yeah.
Did you choose this?
I didn't, but I'm really glad that it's on.
You like it?
Oh yeah, I love it.
All right, that's her style right there. She got the F-off derby cover. Thrashin billet shifter tip over, I'm guessing you had to stock one on before?
I believe so. I love it.
It looks like you got white shoes on, which
Yeah.
are dirty, but I don't really see many.
No, they're not. It's not that dirty.
So it doesn't really leave a shifter mark, which is a good thing.
Which is really good.
Let's talk about the pipe. So you threw a Thrashin anti-reversion exhaust system on there. Looks like you use and abuse it.
Oh yeah, it's been great. Honestly, there's a large difference in, you know, how it sounds and how it runs. I really like how it sounds a lot.
So another thing that I don't see often on riders' bikes is this extended windshield on your quarter fairing. What made you decide that you needed to have this extended windshield?
Protection from wind. I don't know. It's long distance riding can get really rough if, you know, wind's just blasting you 24/7.
Yeah.
So the extension really helps a lot.
Another thing I noticed on this is it does have the, you know, upgraded Harley suspension. Looks like it has been used and abused. The bump stops on this thing are deteriorating. And I'm not saying this to bash on her bike at all, but she was the one that did say she's been beating this thing, riding it everywhere, riding it daily. You can see on this bike that it is used. And so with that being said, I know you were kind of saying, hey, this bike is getting tired. I'm kind of feel like I'm ready for my next one. What do you have in mind, you know, for possibly your next bike? Are you thinking Softail? Are you thinking Bagger? Are you thinking an older bike?
I don't know. I've been thinking about getting another one of these, lower miles, but also the ST looks really nice. This one's a 2016, but 2017 last Dyna's.
Yep.
And I don't know, I just think that it has a lot of value. I don't know, even though she's probably on her last legs,
Yep.
I still love her. So I don't know if I'm just gonna keep her and add to the family or what.
Well, that's the best thing about Harleys is like, I mean, you see bikes all the way from the 50s and the 60s, and as long as you rebuild them and whatnot, you can make this thing last another 50 years.
Oh yeah, big time.
With that being said, you get on this thing and let's see how you ride it.
Sweet.
Let's go.